Why are you grabbing him? He was helping her. Maya cried as the red suitcase rolled beneath the priority lane rope. Marcus Reed had one arm around his 8-year-old daughter and the other beneath an olive suitcase bound with his red cargo strap. Security Chief Darius Cole tightened his hand around Marcus's wrist while Lauren Voss raised her voice for the crowd. Sir, release the passenger's property. Behind them, Simone Avery stared at the broken wheel and at the brass railroad tag beneath Marcus's palm. 12 minutes earlier, Marcus and Maya had stepped into Meridian Central Station carrying one small backpack between them. The terminal smelled of coffee, floor wax, and the faint machine oil that clung to Marcus's brown work jacket after another night shift in the warehouse below the tracks. 2 paper tickets rested in Maya's hands. She had already smoothed them twice, then wrinkled them again each time the departure board changed. Grandma said she made peach pie, she whispered. Marcus smiled and adjusted the wedding ring hanging from the chain beneath his shirt. The train was their only affordable chance that month to visit his late wife's mother. They had 12 minutes before boarding closed. Ahead of them, the priority lane narrowed beside a row of chrome posts. A businessman in a tailored charcoal suit moved through the crowd without slowing, his metal briefcase cutting a straight path toward the platform doors. Grant Mercer did not shove anyone openly. He used smaller movements, a shoulder placed where someone else needed to stand, an elbow that made families step aside, a polished smile offered only after he had taken their space. Near the rope, a woman in a simple navy coat struggled with an old olive suitcase. One red wheel dragged sideways, catching in the grout between the tiles. People flowed around her. A station attendant pointed toward a baggage desk without leaving her post. Simone thanked her anyway and tried again. The suitcase twisted. Grant's briefcase struck its lower corner with a hard metallic crack. The red wheel tore free and shot across the floor. Maya gasped as Grant's elbow caught her shoulder and knocked her toward the moving crowd. Marcus caught his daughter before her knees hit the tile. At the same moment, Simone lost her grip. The suitcase tipped toward her shin. Marcus reached across, stopped it with his boot, and steadied her by the forearm. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Simone's breath came quickly, but she shook her head. Grant glanced back only once. "Crowded station," he said pleasantly, as though the crowd had acted alone. Then he continued toward the priority gate. Marcus looked at the departure board. 11 minutes. He could still take Maya and run. Instead, he saw Simone test the suitcase handle and nearly lose her balance again. He removed the red cargo strap from his belt, dropped to one knee, and threaded it beneath the broken frame. "Dad?" Maya said softly, still holding both tickets against her chest. "The train." "I know." Marcus checked the bent axle with his thumb, then lifted the damaged side so Simone would not have to drag it. A small brass tag swung from the handle. For half a second, the station lights caught an old winged emblem stamped into the metal. Before Marcus could read the engraving, a hand closed around his wrist. Darius stepped between him and Simone, his uniform immaculate, his voice controlled. Lauren arrived beside him wearing the careful expression of someone solving an embarrassing customer service problem. "We need you to step away from the passenger," she said. Marcus did not pull against Darius. He moved only enough to place himself between the guard and Maya. "My daughter was pushed. Check her shoulder first." Lauren's smile did not move. "We are trying to keep everyone safe, Mr. Reed." Above them, camera 14 turned with a low electric hum. Darius looked up at it before he looked at Maya, pressed his radio and murmured, "Mark 14 unavailable." Marcus followed his eyes. The camera's green recording light was still blinking. The green light blinked again, steady and unmistakable, while Darius lowered his radio as though nothing had happened. "Step behind the yellow line. My daughter needs to sit down. We'll take care of her, Mr. Reed." His words sounded considerate, but his hand remained between Marcus and Maya. The girl stood beside a chrome post with both paper tickets pressed to her chest, her eyes fixed on the employee badge Lauren had just unclipped from her father's jacket. Under the white terminal lights, Marcus's faded work coat looked darker at the cuffs where warehouse grease had settled into the fabric. Lauren held the badge by one corner, careful not to touch the worn surface more than necessary. Warehouse operations, she read softly. Grant Mercer paused near the priority gate, his metal briefcase at his side. That explains the strap, he said with a sympathetic smile. He probably meant well. Some people simply don't understand where assistance ends and interference begins. Marcus looked past him toward Maya. A pale red mark was forming beneath the shoulder seam of her sweater. May I check my daughter? In a moment. She's 8. And we are keeping her safe. Darius guided Maya 3 steps farther away, not enough to remove her from sight, but enough to make Marcus's jaw tighten. The announcement for their train echoed above the concourse, softened by the high glass ceiling. Final boarding. Track 6. Maya looked toward the platform doors, then back at her father. She did not cry. She only crushed the tickets a little tighter. Lauren opened a slim tablet and began typing. Her perfume was clean and sharp, something floral laid over the smell of coffee and machine oil. Passenger reports unwanted physical contact, she said as if reading from a neutral checklist. Simone turned toward her. I did not report that. Lauren's fingers paused for less than a second. Of course, ma'am. This is only preliminary language while we clarify the circumstances. Then clarify them before you write them. We are doing exactly that. The printer beneath the counter woke with a mechanical whir. Paper slid out before Simone had given her name, address, or full statement. Marcus heard it and looked at the page before Lauren could turn it face down. What is that? A temporary behavioral notice. For what behavior? For everyone's protection, Mr. Reed. Please let me finish. The tone remained smooth, almost gentle. Behind Lauren, 2 station employees whispered beside a baggage scale. One glanced at Marcus's steel-toe boots, then at the red cargo strap still looped through the broken suitcase frame. The other shook his head as if the whole situation had confirmed something he already believed. Grant stepped closer to Simone without crossing into her personal space. I'd be happy to replace the suitcase, he said. No traveler should have to deal with this kind of disruption. His remaining silver cuff link caught the overhead light. The left cuff was folded inward, empty. Simone looked down at the red will beneath the rope, then at the olive suitcase still leaning where Marcus had caught it. The disruption began when someone struck my bag, she said. Grant's expression softened with practiced regret. In a crowd this size, accidents happen. And children get pushed? Marcus asked. Darius turned his body slightly, blocking Marcus's view of Maya. Let's keep our voices level. My voice is level. Then cooperate. I am cooperating. Marcus placed both hands where Darius could see them, palms open against the edge of the counter. He did not mention the way Darius had marked the camera unavailable. He did not point toward Grant's empty cuff. He only nodded toward Maya. Do not question her without me present. If you need a statement from a child, call a guardian advocate or wait until I'm beside her. Lauren gave a small, patient smile. No one is interrogating your daughter. Then let her stand with me. For the first time, a thin silence entered the exchange. Maya stared at the floor between them, where the red will rested against the base of the chrome post. Darius finally stepped aside. Marcus crossed the 3 feet slowly, knelt, and touched 2 fingers to the fabric over her shoulder. Can you lift your arm? Maya did. Does it hurt when you breathe? She shook her head. He straightened the collar of her sweater, smoothed one of the tickets without taking it from her, and whispered, You didn't do anything wrong. The platform doors closed in the distance with a dull pneumatic thump. Their train began to move. Maya watched its silver cars slide beyond the glass. Marcus stayed kneeling until the last one disappeared. When he returned to the counter, Lauren placed the notice in front of him and offered a pen. Sign here, and we can conclude this without further difficulty. What am I signing? Acknowledgement of the incident. Marcus read the first paragraph. Attempted removal of passenger property. Unwanted physical contact. Failure to follow a security directive. At the bottom, a box labeled admission of conduct had already been selected. He clicked the box off, signed only the receipt line, and wrote beneath it in careful block letters. Receipt only. Facts disputed. Lauren's smile tightened at the corners. That may delay your badge review. Then it will be delayed. Your employment could be affected. Then the record needs to be accurate. Simone watched him set the pen down. His hand was rough, the thumbnail split near the edge, but it did not tremble. She still did not know whether his calm came from honesty, pride, or experience with being treated as disposable. Then she looked at the timestamp printed across the top of the notice. It had been created 2 minutes before Lauren had asked whether Marcus touched her without permission, and the processing code in the corner did not belong to customer assistance at all. It belonged to theft prevention. The theft prevention code sat in the corner of the notice like a quiet accusation no one in the station wanted to explain. Simone looked from the printed time to Lauren's face, but Lauren had already turned the tablet against her chest. The review is temporary. His train is leaving. That is not our department. Beyond the glass, the final silver car slid out of Meridian Central Station and disappeared beneath the concrete overpass. Maya stood beside Marcus with the 2 crumpled tickets pressed flat against her sweater, watching the empty track long after the train was gone. The departure board clicked to the next scheduled service. A warm draft rose from the tunnel, carrying the smell of steel dust and old brakes. Marcus folded the behavioral notice once and slipped it into the inside pocket of his work jacket. He did not tear it. He did not throw it onto Lauren's counter. He simply took Maya's hand. "We'll call Grandma. She made the pie already." "I know. Will it go bad?" Marcus glanced toward the ring hanging beneath his collar, the plain gold band his wife had worn until the hospital returned it to him in a small plastic envelope. "She'll freeze us a piece." His voice stayed steady, but Maya felt his thumb press once against the back of her hand. Darius kept Marcus's employee badge for what he called an internal review, then released him with instructions not to enter restricted work areas. Grant Mercer had already moved toward the executive lounge. Lauren returned to her tablet as if the interruption had been cleared from the floor. Simone remained beside the olive suitcase, one hand on its handle, the broken side sagging toward the tile. Marcus and Maya had almost reached the public exit when the suitcase scraped behind them with a rough, dragging sound. Marcus stopped. Maya looked up at him. "Dad, they were mean to you. They were wrong about me. That's what I meant." He looked back. Simone tried to lift the damaged corner, but the weight twisted her wrist and forced her to set it down. Travelers curved around her without slowing. A man in a business coat stepped over the loose red wheel as though it were trash. Marcus let out a slow breath, then turned around. Lauren noticed him returning and leaned toward another employee. "Some people don't know when to leave a situation alone," she murmured, not quite softly enough. Marcus heard her. He kept walking. "I can manage," Simone said when he reached her. "I know. You already missed your train. The bag is still broken." He knelt beside the olive case and ran 2 fingers along the bent axle. The metal bracket had split near the lower seam, but the frame itself was intact. From the small tool loop on his key ring, Marcus removed a short steel pin, worn smooth from years of use. He threaded the red cargo strap beneath the frame, folded it back through its buckle, and tightened it until the broken corner lifted half an inch from the floor. The strap's white warehouse code showed briefly beneath his thumb. Simone watched the care with which he tested the weight before letting go. "That will not fix it forever," he said, "but it will keep it from tipping into your leg." She opened her purse and took out several folded bills. "Please." Marcus closed her fingers over the money without looking at the amount. "Keep it. You lost your train because of this. I lost my train because someone decided the report mattered more than what happened. Then let me repay the time. Time doesn't come back because somebody pays for it." He softened the words with a small nod toward the suitcase. "Use it for another ticket if they make you buy one." Maya had been quiet beside him. She unscrewed the cap from the bottle of water in her backpack and looked at her father. It was the last bottle they had packed for the trip. Marcus nodded. Maya offered it to Simone with both hands. "You can have some. Not all, though." Dad forgets to drink water after night shift. Simone's mouth almost formed a smile. She took one careful sip and returned the bottle. Thank you for setting the limit. Maya nodded seriously and handed it to Marcus. A warning tone sounded near the west elevators. The doors opened halfway, shuttered, then closed again. An older man with a cane stepped back from them, while a young mother tried to turn a stroller in the narrow space. A yellow inspection sticker beside the call button read "Cleared for service," stamped that morning. Marcus listened to the motor strain once more. Don't use that elevator, he said. The mother looked at his missing badge and hesitated. It's cleared. The upper pulley is slipping. Hear the pause before the doors pull. The elevator groaned again, followed by a hollow metallic knock. Marcus pointed toward a service ramp beyond the ticket kiosks. That route stays public all the way to track 9. No stairs. He carried the older man's small duffel while Maya walked beside the stroller, holding the water bottle and staying close to her father. Marcus did not enter any restricted door. He did not touch the elevator panel. He simply led them around the obstruction, waited until both passengers reached the correct level, then returned the duffel with both handles facing outward. Simone followed at a distance, pulling the repaired suitcase. It rolled unevenly, but it no longer fell. She saw Marcus help the older man settle his cane against the bench, then crouch to retie Maya's loose shoelace. When he bent forward, the gold wedding ring slipped from beneath his shirt and swung once in the fluorescent light. Was that your wife's? Simone asked when he returned. Marcus tucked the ring back beneath his collar. It still is. He offered nothing more. Simone did not ask. Grant passed them on his way toward the lounge, adjusting his left cuff as though irritated by the empty buttonhole. His gaze moved from Marcus to the red strap holding the suitcase together. Still playing maintenance man? He asked with a gracious half-smile. Marcus did not answer. He checked the buckle one last time and lifted the handle into Simone's palm. As the old brass tag turned, years of grime shifted beneath his thumb, revealing the faded winged emblem and the engraved words Avery. First run, 1987. Marcus's eyes rested on them for only a second. Then Maya tugged his sleeve and opened her small fist. Lying against her palm was a silver cuff link stamped with the initials GM. The first small object that could connect the man who walked away to the wheel Marcus had stopped to repair. Maya's small fist stayed open between them, the silver cuff link resting in her palm beneath the white station lights. Marcus did not touch it at first. He looked toward the priority gate, where Grant Mercer's left cuff hung empty, then back at the initials stamped into the metal. Did you pick it up? It was under the bench. Did anyone else touch it? Maya shook her head. The question was simple, but Simone noticed the way Marcus's attention changed. He did not look triumphant. He looked careful. He took a clean paper bag from the snack pocket of Maya's backpack, held it open, and let her tip the cuff link inside without touching it again. Then he wrote the time and location on the back of one of their crumpled tickets. His handwriting was square and deliberate, the same kind used on warehouse labels that had to be read in rain, dust, or darkness. That proves he pushed me, Maya said. Marcus crouched until their eyes were level. It proves this was found, near where it happened. But it has his letters. It may be his. He said he didn't touch us. Marcus folded the top of the bag once. We don't make the truth bigger, sweetheart. We keep it clean. Simone watched Maya absorb the answer. The child looked disappointed for half a second, then nodded and slid the remaining ticket back against her sweater. Marcus stood and carried the paper bag toward the security counter, but stopped before placing it in Darius's hand. I need a property receipt. Darius's expression did not change. For a cuff link? For anything connected to an incident report. You are not an investigator, Mr. Reed. No, Marcus kept the bag beside his chest. That's why I want a receipt. Lauren stepped closer, tablet tucked beneath one arm. Her voice had returned to its customer service softness. We can log lost property for you. Not lost property. Evidence related to a disputed report. The word evidence made Darius glance toward camera 14. Its motor turned with a faint electric whine, then stopped above the priority lane. "You're escalating a misunderstanding," Lauren said. "I'm asking for a number on a piece of paper, and involving your daughter in an adult matter." Marcus's face remained still, but his fingers tightened once along the folded edge of the bag. "My daughter found something. I'm making sure she doesn't have to explain later why an adult lost it." Simone felt that sentence settle differently from the others. Marcus was not using Maya to accuse Grant. He was protecting her from having her memory reshaped by people with better titles and cleaner clothes. Darius reached for the bag. Mr. Mercer reported a missing cuff link. Marcus moved it back an inch. "When?" "Just now." "To whom?" "To security." "Before or after you saw this bag?" The air seemed to slow around the counter. A luggage cart rattled across the tile in the distance. Lauren's eyes shifted toward Darius before she answered. "There is no reason to turn routine property handling into an argument." "I'm not arguing." Marcus looked at the empty receipt printer. "Print the log number." Simone had not told anyone that Maya had found the cuff link. Grant had not. Returned to the bench. Darius had been across the concourse when Maya opened her hand. Yet he already knew what the bag contained and who supposedly owned it. Simone looked down at the olive suitcase. The brass tag hung against the handle, its old winged emblem dulled by years of travel. She had carried it into the station to test whether employees would treat an ordinary passenger with patience. She had expected indifference. She had not expected a report to be shaped before the facts existed. While Darius called for a property form, Simone moved several steps away and opened the Meridian passenger service app on her phone. She used only her first initial and last name, the same limited profile available to any traveler. Her complaint was narrow. Broken accessibility elevator, disputed security contact, request to preserve camera 14. She added no mention of ownership, executive access, or her father's name. The app issued a confirmation number at 10:42 a.m. At 10:46, her phone vibrated. Resolved. Passenger educated on proper procedure. Simone read the message twice. No one had called her. No one had asked for photographs. No one had inspected the elevator or spoken to the mother with the stroller. The complaint had traveled through the system and returned closed in 4 minutes. Marcus glanced at the screen only because the vibration sounded in the sudden quiet. He caught sight of the old internal Meridian crest in the corner of the app before Simone lowered the phone. The crest belonged to a management portal warehouse employees had never been given. His eyes paused, but he did not ask who she was. Instead, he nodded toward the message. "Did they talk to you?" "No." "Then what did they resolve?" Simone looked back at the counter. Lauren was now standing in front of the monitor, her body angled so neither Simone nor Marcus could see the screen. "There are automated responses for duplicate concerns," Lauren explained when Simone approached. "This was my first complaint. The system groups related events. How would it know they were related without asking me what happened?" Lauren's smile held, but her thumb moved rapidly over the edge of the tablet. "We reviewed the available video." Simone stopped. "Which camera?" "The relevant coverage." "Camera 14. Lauren did not answer. Above them, the camera's green light blinked once, and its motor rotated toward the security desk. Marcus looked from the moving lens to the theft prevention code on the notice in his pocket, then to the sealed paper bag holding Grant's cufflink. 3 small things had now been treated as though they were unrelated. A camera declared unavailable while recording, a complaint closed without investigation, and a missing cuff link reported before anyone should have known it had been found. Then Darius stepped forward and said, "Too quickly." Mr. Mercer was standing nowhere near the broken red wheel when it came off. Marcus's eyes lifted. No one had told Darius where the wheel had been found. Darius's sentence seemed to remain suspended beneath the fluorescent lights. Mr. Mercer was standing nowhere near the broken red wheel when it came off. Marcus did not raise his voice. He looked at the sealed paper bag in his hand, then at the wheel resting several yards away beneath the priority lane rope. "How did you know it was red?" The printer behind Lauren stopped humming. A woman dragging a carry-on slowed for half a step before continuing. Even Maya loosened her grip on the crumpled ticket against her chest. Darius's expression stayed controlled. You referred to it earlier. No, Marcus said. I called it a wheel. Lauren moved smoothly between them, tablet held against her navy blazer. Colors are not material to the incident, Mr. Reed. Let's not turn ordinary observation into an accusation. I didn't accuse him. Marcus lifted the sealed bag slightly. I asked a question. Simone watched Darius's eyes shift toward the security monitor before returning to Marcus. It was a small movement, almost nothing, but it carried the same urgency as his first glance at camera 14. She opened the passenger service app again and selected Request Original Incident Record. The form required only a case number and a reason. She entered preservation of evidence, then added a separate request for written confirmation that camera 14 would not be overwritten. The screen displayed a policy notice stating that all preservation requests must be routed automatically to Meridian's Central Records office. Lauren's tablet vibrated less than 10 seconds later. Her thumb moved across the screen. Simone's request changed from submitted to duplicate complaint. That was not a duplicate, Simone said. Lauren gave her a patient smile. The system consolidates related requests so passengers aren't burdened with unnecessary paperwork. I asked for the original record, and we can provide a summary. I did not ask for a summary. Lauren stepped closer, lowering her voice into something almost confidential. Ma'am, continuing to escalate this could create additional difficulty for Mr. Reed. He is already facing an employment review. Sometimes the kindest choice is to let a misunderstanding close quietly. Marcus looked at Simone before she could answer. Don't withdraw it for me. Lauren's smile thinned. You may not understand the consequences. I understand them. Your badge is suspended. Preserve the footage anyway. That footage may not help you. Then preserve it anyway. The simplicity of the answer made Simone's hand still over her phone. Marcus was not asking for evidence because he believed it would save him. He was asking for it because evidence should survive whichever version of the story proved true. Before Lauren could respond, a sharp metallic chatter sounded from the sloped baggage corridor behind them. Marcus turned first. A loaded luggage cart had slipped free from its parking rail and was rolling toward the concourse, slowly at first, then faster as its steel wheels found the incline. 2 hard-shell suitcases bounced against the side bars. At the bottom of the slope, a young mother stood beside a stroller, adjusting a blanket over a sleeping infant. Move the stroller, Marcus said. The mother looked up but could not yet see the cart behind a pillar. Ma'am, move left. Darius reached for his radio. Lauren called for maintenance. Neither moved toward the slope. Marcus heard the cart's front will strike a seam in the floor and recognized the uneven vibration. The right caster was pulling outward. He scanned the benches and saw a rubber wheel chock beneath a maintenance seat, left beside a cleaning bucket. He ran only far enough to reach it, then approached the cart from the side instead of stepping into its path. Maya, stay by the counter. Okay. Her voice trembled, but she obeyed. Marcus kicked the chock beneath the cart's right front wheel at an angle. The metal frame jerked, turned, and slammed sideways into a concrete support column instead of continuing toward the stroller. One suitcase toppled onto the tile. The impact cracked through the terminal. Then everything went still except the infant's soft cry. Marcus reached the mother first. Are you hurt? No, she pulled the stroller against her legs. My baby. Marcus checked that the brake remained locked and looked beneath the frame without touching the child. The stroller never took the impact. You're both clear. He then crouched beside the cart and pressed the damaged locking pedal with 2 fingers. It dropped without resistance. The retaining pin is missing, he said. Darius approached, breathing harder than Marcus. Step away from the equipment. Marcus stood immediately. Keep people off the slope until someone replaces the pin. Maintenance will handle it. Good. He moved back toward Maya. No speech. No demand for recognition. He only placed a hand on her shoulder and felt her lean into his side. The mother with the stroller was still pale. "Thank you," she said. Marcus nodded toward the child. "She's okay. That's what matters." A woman near the coffee kiosk lowered her phone. She was in her 30s, wearing a green raincoat and an airport-style neck pillow clipped to her bag. "I recorded it," she said. "The cart?" Darius asked. "All of it." Her name was Elena Brooks. She had started filming because her sister worked in workplace safety and Elena thought the loose cart looked dangerous. The video showed Marcus hearing the cart before anyone else, directing the mother away, redirecting the wheels and stepping back the moment the danger ended. It also showed Maya remaining exactly where her father told her to stay. The small crowd that had watched Marcus being treated like a threat now stood. Without whispering, the air conditioning seemed suddenly loud above them. Simone held out her hand, not for the phone, but for Elena's attention. "Please make 2 copies before anyone takes the original." Lauren stepped in gently. "There is no need to complicate this. We can document the safety event through the proper channel." Elena looked toward the counter where Simone's complaint had vanished in 4 minutes. "I think I'll keep my own copy." "Of course," Lauren said, though a muscle moved beside her jaw. "Just be careful not to circulate incomplete footage that might cause people to misunderstand what happened." Elena swiped backward through the recording to find the beginning. The first seconds showed only the coffee kiosk and a portion of the priority lane. Then the red wheel rolled into frame. Marcus caught Maya. The olive suitcase tilted. Darius's voice came faintly through his radio. Lauren leaned toward the phone. "That angle doesn't prove Mr. Reed never pulled the suitcase." Elena stopped scrolling. "I didn't say the suitcase was in the video." No one spoke. Simone slowly lowered her hand from the incident notice she had been holding. Lauren looked at Darius, then away. Elena raised the volume and replayed the 11-second clip. Behind the scrape of the suitcase and Maya's gasp, a voice crackled through Darius's radio from somewhere beyond the counter. "Change it to attempted theft." The recording did not reveal the speaker's face, but it proved one thing with chilling clarity. Before Marcus had been questioned, someone inside the system had already decided what his kindness would be called. "Change it to attempted theft." The words crackled from Elena's phone a second time, thin beneath the terminal's air conditioning but clear enough to stop every nearby conversation. Marcus did not look at Darius. He looked at the timestamp on the video, then at the behavioral exclusion notice folded inside his jacket. "Play the beginning again," he said. Elena did. The red will cross the frame at 10 hours 18 minutes and 42 seconds. Maya stumbled 2 seconds later. Marcus caught her, steadied Simone's suitcase, and Darius's radio carried the instruction before anyone had asked Simone whether she wanted to make a complaint. Lauren reached toward the phone without touching it. A recording from a public space can be misleading without full context. "Then the full context should help," Simone said. Her voice remained quiet, but something in it made Lauren's hand stop. Simone asked Elena to send 1 copy to an outside attorney and another to a new email address she typed herself. The address ended in Meridian's executive legal domain. Marcus noticed it, just as he had noticed the management crest on her phone, but he said nothing. Darius did. "That address is not available to passengers." Simone locked the screen. "Then perhaps you should be more concerned about why I have it than about why she is using it." For the first time, Darius's professional expression slipped. He wiped one thumb across the edge of his radio and glanced toward the glass offices above the concourse. Simone stepped away from the crowd and placed a call. She did not give her last name. She gave a 6-digit authorization code, then asked for Meridian's general counsel, the independent records custodian, and the external audit liaison to join a secure conference immediately. The woman who answered stopped calling her ma'am and said, "Yes, Ms. Avery." Marcus heard only the name. He looked toward the brass tag on the olive suitcase, where the same initial and surname sat beneath the old winged emblem. Simone met his eyes for one brief moment. She did not explain. He did not ask. 10 minutes later, 3 separate preservation orders entered the station system before Lauren or Darius could reach a terminal. Camera 14, every body cam assigned to the morning shift, the complaint portal, the maintenance service logs, and the local security report database were locked against deletion. A red banner appeared across Lauren's tablet. Access restricted, legal hold. The soft color drained from her face, but her voice stayed measured. This is becoming unnecessarily disruptive. Simone looked at the closed complaint on her phone. For minutes was enough time to resolve my account without speaking to me. A legal hold can take as long as it needs. The station printer behind the counter stopped in the middle of a page. Its rollers held the paper halfway out, leaving a white strip trembling in the conditioned air. No one reached for it. The first recovered file arrived from Camera 14's local cache. An external records technician opened it remotely while Simone watched on her phone. The footage had no sound, but the angle was clean. Grant's metal briefcase struck the lower corner of the olive suitcase. The red wheel broke away. His elbow displaced Maya from the line. Marcus caught his daughter, then kept the suitcase from falling against Simone's leg. He never pulled it toward himself. He never reached for Simone's purse. He never followed her. The video proved the report false, but Marcus did not smile. He watched Maya on the screen, small and off balance beneath the crowded departure board. His jaw tightened only when Darius stepped between them. "Can I have a copy that does not show my daughter's face?" he asked. Lauren stared at him. "This footage could clear you. It can clear me without being passed around with her in it." Simone looked at Marcus differently then. He had been given the first solid proof that the station had lied about him, and his first concern was limiting how many strangers could replay his child's fear. "We can redact her image," Simone said. "The original will remain sealed." Marcus nodded once. "Thank you." The second layer came from Darius's body cam. The audio began with the rush of the crowd and the scrape of the broken suitcase. Then his own voice spoke into the radio. "Mercer is involved." A second voice answered from the security office. "Keep the sponsor out of the report." Darius replied, "Understood." Seconds later came the sentence from Elena's recording. "Change it to attempted theft." Darius removed his cap and set it on the counter. A line of perspiration had appeared near his temple despite the cool terminal. Those communications refer to crowd management, not evidence manipulation. "Then why was Mr. Mercer's name removed?" Simone asked. "Because he was not the subject. He caused the incident. That had not been established. You said he was involved before you interviewed anyone." Darius's mouth opened, but Lauren interrupted with a softer explanation. She said station reports often used standard templates to protect employees from inconsistent wording. The external auditor searched the phrase "attempted removal of passenger property." 28 files appeared. Marcus's was the newest. 27 others stretched across 14 months. The names were different, but the language barely changed. An elderly man accused of taking a first-class blanket after an attendant moved it onto his wheelchair. A mother removed from the premium waiting area after asking why the family restroom was locked. A janitor written up for touching a traveler's garment when he had lifted it away from spilled cleaning fluid. A passenger using a cane blamed for blocking the concourse after the accessible elevator failed. Nearly every complaint had been closed as passenger educated, employee coached, or no further action required. Nearly every available camera had been marked obstructed, under maintenance, or irrelevant. Simone stopped scrolling at the complaint involving the passenger with the cane. The date was 3 months earlier. The same elevator beside them had been listed as inspected and cleared that morning. Marcus removed the folded service tag he had peeled loose only after photographing it in place. "The motor was slipping today," he said. "The sticker says it passed inspection at 6:12. The audit log showed the inspection had been approved at 5:47 a.m., 25 minutes before the technician's shift began. The authorization came through Darius's department." Lauren closed her eyes for half a second. "That is a maintenance issue. It has nothing to do with Mr. Reed." Marcus placed the tag beside the theft notice and the sealed cuff link. "It has to do with whether the records describe what happened." His tone held no anger. That made the table feel colder. The final file did not come from security. Came from procurement. Grant Mercer's redevelopment agreement included an incentive payment tied to a metric called zero premium client attributed disruptions. Every recorded incident caused by a VIP traveler reduced his company's quarterly bonus and triggered additional oversight of the proposed luxury expansion. Attached plans showed the family waiting room converted into retail space, the public assistance desk moved behind a paid access gate, and the accessible corridor narrowed to create a private lounge entrance. The broken elevator, the erased complaints, the edited report, and Grant's denial were no longer separate problems. They formed a business model. Marcus read the summary twice. Simone expected fury. Instead, he asked, "The other 27 people, do they know their complaints were changed?" No one answered. "Then contact them before this goes public," he said. "Give them lawyers who do not work for the station. Preserve their records before anyone calls this a misunderstanding." Darius leaned forward. "You could settle your own employment matter today, Mr. Reed. There is no reason to involve strangers in a personnel dispute." Marcus looked at him at last. "They were strangers when you used the same report on them." That was the moment the room went quiet. Not because Marcus had raised his voice, but because he had refused the easiest victory. Simone's phone vibrated against the glass table. Grant had sent the board an emergency proposal. Restore Marcus's job, pay him confidential compensation, and require a non-disclosure agreement before the afternoon press event. Simone read it, then turned the screen toward Marcus. Maya's medical coverage could be restored that day. Their missed wages could be replaced. The danger to his family could shrink with one signature. Marcus looked through the glass toward Maya, who was sitting beside Elena with her backpack in her lap, carefully trying to flatten the 2 ruined tickets against the cover of a magazine. "My daughter needs her insurance," he said, "and those families need their records." He pushed the phone back. "I won't trade one for the other." Simone closed the settlement offer without replying. Outside the office, workers were already erecting a blue and silver stage beneath a banner that read "Railway for Every Family." Grant, Lauren, and Darius were scheduled to speak there before cameras and city officials in less than 2 hours. Simone looked at the olive suitcase, the red strap, the brass tag, and the 28 identical reports glowing on the screen. "Then we do not handle this behind a closed door," she said. "We let them explain the system in the room where they built it." By noon, the glass atrium of Meridian Central Station no longer looked like the place where Marcus Reed had been accused of theft. Blue and silver banners hung from steel cables above a raised stage. Rows of folding chairs faced a screen displaying the words "Railway for Every Family," while reporters tested microphones beneath the same camera 14 that Darius Cole had marked unavailable. Marcus entered through the side aisle wearing his faded brown work jacket and steel-toe boots. His employee badge was still missing. Exhaustion showed beneath his eyes, but his hand stayed steady around Maya's as they crossed the polished floor. The olive suitcase followed behind Simone, its broken side still lifted by Marcus's red cargo strap. Maya carried the 2 crumpled train tickets inside a clear plastic sleeve. She had asked whether she would have to speak. Marcus had told her no. Elena Brooks sat near the aisle with her phone sealed in an evidence pouch and a second copy of the recording stored with outside counsel. Grant Mercer stood beneath the stage lights in a charcoal suit, both cuffs now fastened with a different pair of silver links. Lauren Voss arranged folders at the lectern. Darius wore his cap again and spoke quietly to 2 security officers positioned near the doors. Everything was orderly. That made the pressure feel heavier. Grant began with a warm smile. "This project has always been about dignity." Applause rose from the invited business leaders. Families deserve cleaner spaces, safer platforms, and a station that reflects the future of Atlanta. Behind him, the screen showed renderings of bright retail stores and a private lounge. The family waiting room was not visible. Neither was the public assistance desk. Grant placed one hand over his heart and said the morning incident had been unfortunate, but it proved why trained professionals had to intervene when good intentions created confusion. Several faces turned toward Marcus. Lauren followed him to the microphone. "No one here wishes to punish compassion," she said. "However, employees must respect boundaries, follow security direction, and avoid touching passenger property without authorization. She held up Marcus's behavioral exclusion notice but kept the bottom portion folded beneath her fingers. Mr. Reed was given several opportunities to cooperate. Marcus remained seated. Maya leaned against his arm. A reporter whispered that he looked more like a mechanic than someone qualified to challenge station procedure. Another photographed the grease darkened into the cuff of his jacket. Darius spoke last. His voice was calm and low. He described camera 14 as temporarily unreliable because of a routine network failure. He said bodycam language had been misunderstood and that the phrase attempted theft was merely a classification code used to preserve options until facts could be established. For a moment, the explanation worked. It sounded technical. It sounded cautious. It made the evidence seem less certain than it had inside the glass office. One member of the City Transportation Committee asked whether Marcus had ignored a direct order. Darius answered yes. Another asked whether the suitcase had been moved without the passenger's prior consent. Lauren answered yes. Grant lowered his eyes and said he did not want one struggling employee's life destroyed over a lapse in judgment. I have offered to support his reinstatement, he said, his voice carrying the soft weight of mercy, provided we stop turning an unfortunate misunderstanding into a public spectacle. A few people nodded. Marcus felt Maya's fingers tighten around his. The settlement offer was being reshaped into generosity, while his refusal was made to sound unreasonable. Simone sat in the front row in her navy coat, her face unreadable. No one from the local station had introduced her. To most of the room, she was still the traveler with the damaged suitcase. She did not interrupt. She watched Lauren, Darius, and Grant commit themselves to every word. The hearing officer invited Marcus to respond. He rose slowly, but before he reached the microphone, a television reporter moved toward Maya and lowered a camera to the child's height. Were you frightened when your father refused security instructions? Marcus stepped between the lens and his daughter. Turn the camera away from her. We only need a brief reaction. She is 8. Her memory could help establish what happened. The records can establish what happened. Marcus's voice never rose. My daughter does not owe this room her fear. The reporter lowered the camera. The movement caused a small ripple through the audience. Simone's hand, resting on the closed folder in her lap, became still. Marcus returned to the microphone. He did not describe the rent waiting at home or the insurance notice folded beside his wife's ring. I was offered my job back if I signed away the rest of the questions, he said. I did not come here to punish anyone. I came because the truth should not be buried just because burying it is cheaper. Grant leaned toward his own microphone. No one asked you to bury the truth, Mr. Reed. We asked you to recognize that incomplete footage and emotional memories can damage innocent reputations. Then use the complete record. There is no complete record, Darius said. Camera 14 failed. Simone finally stood. She pulled the olive suitcase to the center aisle. Its damaged red will clicked against the floor with each uneven turn. Before we discuss what failed, she said, I would like each witness to confirm the account they are asking this room to accept. Her tone was polite, almost gentle. Grant smiled as though welcoming her cooperation. Simone asked where he had been when the wheel broke. Several yards away, he answered. Too far to see the initial contact clearly. But close enough to see Mr. Reed take the suitcase? Yes. Once the disturbance drew my attention. Which part did he touch first? Grant hesitated. The lower left frame. He threaded the strap beneath it. The answer seemed harmless until Simone stopped beside the suitcase. The strap passed beneath the lower left frame exactly as he had described. From several yards away, behind a moving crowd, that detail would have been nearly impossible to see. A quiet murmur crossed the chairs. Grant recovered quickly. Lauren may have shown me the incident photograph. Lauren looked at him. There was no incident photograph. The murmur stopped. Retention shifted through the room like a cold draft. Grant changed direction. He said Marcus had probably carried the strap into the station intending to offer unauthorized repair work. Lauren agreed, presenting the red strap as evidence that Marcus had approached the suitcase with a tool already prepared. Marcus reached into his jacket and placed a warehouse equipment receipt on the table. "Issued 2 years ago," he said. The printed code matched the white number stitched into the strap. "It secures freight on my shift." Lauren's fingers tightened around the edge of the lectern. "That does not prove how you used it this morning." "No," Marcus said. "The footage will." The hearing officer looked toward Darius. Darius repeated that camera 14 was unavailable. Maya tugged gently at Marcus's sleeve. She did not speak into a microphone. She only handed him the plastic sleeve containing the tickets. Marcus placed them beside the equipment receipt. The boarding time showed that he had less than 12 minutes to reach track 6 when the incident began. "If I came looking for money or trouble," he said, "I chose a poor time to miss the only train my daughter and I could afford." Grant's expression softened again. Financial pressure can make good people act unpredictably. Marcus looked at him without anger. "So can a contract bonus." Grant's smile vanished for less than a second. Simone saw it. So did the board members nearest the stage. She asked Grant whether he had any financial incentive tied to reported incidents in the premium area. He answered that his agreement contained standard performance measures and nothing more. Then he added, "Certainly nothing connected to 27 unrelated complaints." The number struck the room before anyone could hide it. The 27 files had not been mentioned publicly. Lauren's head turned toward him. Darius looked at the floor. Grant realized his mistake and said his attorneys had briefed him on general audit concerns. Simone did not challenge him yet. She walked to the evidence table and placed 3 objects in a line. The behavioral exclusion notice, its timestamp visible, the sealed cuff link marked GM, and the brass tag removed from the olive suitcase. The old winged Meridian emblem appeared on the screen above them when the technician focused a document camera. Several older board members straightened in their seats. One woman near the front whispered, "That cannot be the original." Simone turned the tag so the engraving faced the room. S. Avery, first run, 1987. Grant stepped toward the lectern. "This hearing is about an employee conduct matter, not a family artifact." "Then why?" Simone asked. "Did your people rewrite the conduct report before they took the passenger's statement?" Lauren opened her mouth. Marcus quietly unfolded the bottom of the notice she had hidden. The creation time appeared 2 minutes before Simone's interview began. A chair leg scraped once across the floor, then stopped. Simone looked toward the technician. "Load camera 14, the bodycam audio, the complaint audit, and the signed Mercer agreement." For file icons appeared on the screen. Darius reached for his radio. The doors behind him closed under instruction from Meridian's independent counsel, not station security. Simone removed her navy coat, laid it across the back of a chair, and stepped behind the microphone as the old brass tag glowed above her. "Before those files play," she said, "this room should know why my name is engraved on that suitcase." "My name is Simone Avery," she said, her hand resting beside the old brass tag. "That suitcase belonged to my father on Meridian's first passenger run in 1987. I am the majority owner and chief executive of Meridian Continental Railroad." The words did not land like applause. They landed like a door locking. Grant Mercer's fingers froze around the edge of the lectern. Lauren Voss stopped breathing long enough for the folder in her hands to tilt. Darius Cole lowered his radio by half an inch, then held it there as if he had forgotten what it was for. Above them, the projector hummed. The broken red wheel tapped once against the base of the evidence table. No one in the atrium moved. Simone looked toward the technician. "Play camera 14 from 10:18 a.m. The first file opened. The screen showed the same priority lane beneath which Marcus had knelt with his red cargo strap. The timestamp advanced in the upper corner. Grant entered the frame, cutting through the line with his metal briefcase. The case struck the lower corner of Simone's olive suitcase. The wheel snapped away. Maya was displaced by his elbow. Marcus caught his daughter before she hit the tile, then stopped the suitcase from falling against Simone's leg. He did not pull it toward himself. He did not reach into it. He did not pursue Simone. He looked first at Maya's shoulder, then at Simone's balance, then at the broken frame. The room watched Marcus give up the last minutes before his train to help a woman whose name he did not know. Grant cleared his throat. The angle does not show intent. Simone did not answer him. Play the passenger video. Elena's recording filled the screen. The red will rolled past the coffee kiosk. Marcus's voice came through clearly. Are you hurt? Then Maya's frightened gasp. Then Lauren's accusation. Then the crackle of Darius's radio. Change it to attempted theft. The audio stopped. Somewhere near the back row, a phone vibrated against a metal chair. The sound seemed unnaturally loud. Darius removed his cap again, but this time his hand shook enough for the brim to brush the microphone. That classification was provisional. Before the passenger gave a statement, Simone asked, "Security has to preserve options. You preserved an accusation. You marked the evidence unavailable." Darius glanced toward the screen, but camera 14 was now looking down at him from above the stage. Simone nodded to the technician. Bodycam audio. A new waveform appeared. Darius's recorded voice said, "Mercer is involved." Another voice answered from the security office. "Keep the sponsor out of the report." Darius replied, "Understood." Then came the order to use the attempted theft code. Darius tried to speak, but his mouth had gone dry. He reached for the glass of water beside the lectern and missed it with his fingertips. The plastic cup tipped and rolled slowly across the table without spilling. Lauren stepped forward. Standard reporting templates are used to prevent inconsistent language. That does not mean anyone intended to falsify an account. Simone turned toward the screen. Show the notice metadata. Marcus's behavioral exclusion notice appeared beside the timestamp of Simone's first interview. The document had been created 2 minutes before Lauren asked whether Marcus had touched her without consent. The admission box had been selected before Marcus saw the page. The theft prevention code was visible in the corner. Lauren's tablet slipped against the folder in her arms, and several pages slid onto the stage. She bent to collect them, but Simone's voice stopped her. "Leave them." The pages remained scattered around her shoes. "Now show the complaint audit." 28 case numbers filled the screen. Marcus's was the newest. The other 27 carried nearly identical language. Elderly passengers, working parents, an employee with a mop cart, a traveler using a cane, families removed from premium spaces after requesting access to basic services. Each complaint had been closed without independent review. Each record had been reduced to phrases such as passenger educated, employee coached, or no further action required. The atrium had grown so still that the faint click of Maya's plastic ticket sleeve could be heard when she pressed it against her sweater. Marcus looked down. She was no longer staring at Darius. She was watching the screen, trying to understand why so many names looked like hers might have looked if her father had signed the paper. Marcus placed his hand over hers. "You're okay," he whispered. Maya let out a breath she had been holding and leaned against his side. Grant moved away from the lectern. "Those files have nothing to do with my company." Simone turned to him. "Show the redevelopment agreement." The signed contract opened to the incentive section. 0 premium client attributed disruptions. Bonus payments tied to keeping sponsor-related incidents out of official reports. The next page showed the proposed removal of the family waiting room, the relocation of the public assistance desk behind a paid access gate, and the narrowing of the accessible corridor. Grant's electronic signature appeared beneath the terms. "Performance metrics are common in public-private projects," he said. His voice had lost its warmth. "You signed a metric that rewarded the disappearance of complaints," Simone replied. "That is not performance. That is concealment. I did not direct station staff. Your email says otherwise." The technician opened a message sent from Grant's corporate account 3 weeks earlier. "Keep premium incidents off the quarterly count. Handle locally. I do not want another accessibility issue affecting the bonus." Grant stared at his own words. His eyes shifted toward the cameras, then toward the nearest exit. Independent counsel stood beside the closed doors, not blocking him physically, only ensuring that every document and statement remained part of the record. Simone placed the sealed cuff link on the table. A photograph from the morning's press arrival appeared beside it, showing Grant wearing the matching pair. The recovered piece bore the same initials and manufacturer's mark. "You said you were several yards away," Simone said. "You also knew where Marcus threaded the strap. You knew about 27 complaints before they were disclosed. Your property was found where the wheel broke, and the footage shows how it got there." Grant's hand opened around the pen he had been holding. It struck the floor and rolled beneath the lectern. No one bent to retrieve it. Simone faced the board. "Effective immediately, the Mercer redevelopment agreement is suspended pending procurement review. All related records will be transferred to outside counsel and the appropriate public authorities. Lauren Voss and Darius Cole are placed on administrative leave, with all system access revoked, while an independent investigation proceeds. 27 prior cases will be reopened. No local station manager will control that review." She looked toward Marcus. "Mr. Reed's disciplinary notice is frozen. His wages and his daughter's medical coverage are restored without interruption while the formal correction is completed." A murmur began, but Marcus did not smile. He did not look at Grant or Lauren. He looked at Maya, whose fingers were still wrapped around the ruined tickets. Then he walked to the evidence table and placed the red cargo strap beside the brass tag. "I don't want her face used in the news footage," he said, "and I want those families contacted before their names are released." Simone nodded. "They will be." The hearing officer invited Marcus to address the room. He stood behind the microphone without removing his worn jacket. The warehouse grease was still visible at the cuffs. "I'm not asking you to believe me because I'm a father," he said. "I'm asking you to stop ignoring what the evidence says." He stepped away before anyone could applaud. The silence that followed was heavier than applause could have been. It held Grant's empty explanation, Lauren's scattered papers, Darius's lowered eyes, Maya's damaged tickets, and the broken wheel that had started everything. Simone picked up Marcus's employee badge and held it out to him. "This returns your access," she said. "It does not repair what happened." Marcus accepted it but did not pin it on. Simone turned toward the board, then back to him. "Before this station asks you to trust it again, tell us what must change." Marcus looked past the stage toward the families waiting beneath the departure board, the elderly man with the cane, the mother beside the stroller, and Maya standing close enough to touch his sleeve. For the first time that day, the room was not deciding what Marcus deserved. It was waiting to hear what he would choose to protect. The atrium did not erupt after Marcus spoke. Reporters lowered their cameras. Board members gathered their folders without looking toward Grant, Lauren, or Darius. The crowd thinned beneath the blue and silver banners in a silence that felt different from the one before. This was not shock. It was recognition. On the evidence table, the red cargo strap lay beside the brass tag, the broken wheel, and Maya's 2 ruined tickets. Marcus stood with his employee badge in one hand and his daughter's fingers in the other. Simone waited until the last public microphone had been switched off before asking him again, what should change first? Marcus looked toward the yellow line where Maya had been separated from him. Children should not be moved away from a parent during an administrative incident unless there is a documented safety risk. He looked toward the counter where Simone's complaint had disappeared in 4 minutes. Every passenger should receive an automatic copy of a complaint the moment it is filed. Local managers should not be able to close it without an outside review. Then he looked up at camera 14. His green light was still blinking. And if a camera is marked offline after an incident, the local cache should be locked before anyone can touch the record. He did not ask that Grant be publicly humiliated. He did not ask Simone to fire anyone on the spot. He asked for rules that would protect people he might never meet. Simone wrote each request in her own hand. By evening, the board had approved temporary versions of all 3 policies. Independent counsel took custody of the body cams, service logs, complaint records, and procurement files. Lauren and Darius were escorted from system access without a public scene. Grant's contract remained suspended while outside auditors and city officials reviewed the incentive payments and altered records. Marcus's badge was restored, but the false notice was not simply deleted. It was preserved, marked invalid, and attached to the formal correction so no one could later pretend the mistake had never happened. His lost wages were released. Maya's medical coverage was reinstated without a gap. Marcus read that line twice in the letter before folding it and placing it beside his wife's ring on the kitchen table. He did not celebrate. He closed his eyes for a moment and let out a breath he had been holding since the station printer first produced the accusation. 3 weeks later, the independent findings were issued. Lauren's employment was terminated after the review confirmed that she had altered reports, closed complaints without investigation, and used theft codes to protect premium client metrics. Darius was dismissed for interfering with evidence, misusing security classifications, and directing staff to remove Grant's name from the report. The case file was transferred to the appropriate authorities for further review. Grant's redevelopment agreement was canceled under its ethics and disclosure clauses. His company was required to return incentive payments tied to inaccurate safety reporting. The 27 earlier cases were reopened by an ombuds office outside local station control. Each family received a written acknowledgement explaining what had been changed in the record, how to appeal, and what compensation process was available for actual losses. None of their names were released to the press without consent. Maya was never asked to stand on a stage or repeat what had frightened her. A child support specialist met with her and Marcus in a quiet office with soft chairs and a bowl of wrapped mints. The woman explained that adults had written something untrue, other adults had checked the evidence, and the mistake was being corrected. Simone came in only after Maya said she was comfortable. She sat in the chair across from the girl instead of behind the desk. Then she leaned forward until they were at the same eye level. "The station with my family's name should have protected you," she said. "It did not. I am sorry." Maya looked at Marcus before answering. "Are they allowed to take kids away from their dads now?" "Not for something like that," Simone said. "Your father helped change the rule." Maya considered this, then nodded. She did not forgive a system on behalf of every child. She only reached for one of the mints and placed another in Marcus's palm. When Meridian offered Marcus a newly created management position, he declined the direct appointment. "If the job matters," he told Simone, "it should survive a fair process." He applied for passenger safety and operations coordinator with 6 other candidates. The evaluation included logistics planning, mechanical risk assessment, emergency response, evidence handling, and family access procedures. Marcus did not mention the publicity surrounding his name. He completed the same written test, walked the same inspection route, and answered the same panel questions as everyone else. He earned the position because he noticed unsafe loading angles, understood how records could be protected from tampering, and never confused authority with respect. Simone signed the final appointment only after the independent panel submitted its score. By then, she had changed the reporting structure so Marcus would not answer directly to her. The olive suitcase was placed in Meridian's training room inside a clear glass case. The broken red wheel was not replaced. Marcus's cargo strap remained looped through the bent frame exactly as it had been that morning. Beneath it, a small plaque carried the words Simone's father had once written in a maintenance notebook. "A railroad is honorable only when its least powerful passenger is safe." Maya's crumpled tickets were displayed beside the new family protection policy, not as trophies, but as a reminder that a procedure could cost a child something no refund could fully replace. 2 months later, Marcus bought new tickets with his own paycheck. He and Maya boarded the train to visit her grandmother. No press followed them. No executive escort waited at the platform. Maya carried a small backpack, and Marcus carried a peach pie tin wrapped in a dish towel for the return trip. Before the doors closed, a young father appeared at the far end of the platform with a sleeping toddler in one arm and 2 bags dragging behind him. The countdown above the gate showed 5 seconds. An attendant looked toward Marcus. Under the old policy, the doors would have closed. Under the new one, the attendant pressed the assistance button and held them open while another employee crossed the platform to carry one of the bags. The young father stepped aboard, breathless and grateful. No one applauded. The passengers simply made room. Maya watched through the window as the attendant checked the platform and gave the signal. This time kindness didn't make us miss the train. Did it, Dad? Marcus looked past her toward the training room glass across the concourse, where the red wheel and the old strap rested in the afternoon light. No, he said. This time the system learned how to wait. Weeks later, Simone joined Marcus and Maya for coffee beneath the station clock. She brought no gift and made no promise. She told Marcus that he had forced her to see the railroad as it truly was, not as the reports described it. Marcus told her trust would take time. Simone said she understood. Maya set 3 cups of hot chocolate on the table, and for a while none of them spoke. Trains moved beyond the glass. The clock hands crossed quietly above them. No one owed anyone a rescue, a romance, or a debt. They were simply learning how to remain in the same room without hiding who they were. And in that gentle silence, the old suitcase no longer looked like broken luggage. The tickets no longer looked like wasted paper, and Marcus's worn work jacket no longer looked like evidence of a man who could be dismissed. They had become proof that dignity never needs to shout. Sometimes it only needs one person to keep doing what is right until the truth finally learns how to stand beside him.